Listen, whether it's the loss of a loved one, loss of a cherished possession, any personal hardship, grief is a sensitive time. And in the past, when I've tried to be of comfort, I've blanked out, just not knowing what to say, so worried about saying the wrong thing. But now, as a cognitive scientist, I've gone through tons of research on grief, empathy, and they all point to 3 things that your grieving friend needs to hear. Number 1, a recognition of pain. So that's phrases that identify the hardship, right? Oh, that sounds really terrible. That really sucks. I can't imagine how difficult that must be. And it's paired with phrases that recognize the universality of the feeling, right? Oh, I would feel the same too. That would make me feel the same way. That would make anyone feel the same way. And it's counterintuitive because it feels like we're reinforcing their pain, right? But actually, we're validating their pain. We're communicating that the way they feel is natural and valid. Because the risk of invalidating is way too high. Researchers in 2021 found that perceived invalidation, when we think someone is invalidating our feelings, that actually causes great psychological distress. In fact, it's a greater predictor of distress than how the person regulates the emotions on their own. So to avoid that invalidation, just the feeling of being seen. Hey, I see your pain and how you're feeling makes a lot of sense. That simple sentiment goes a long way. Number 2 is some version of I'm listening. Now this can be explicit, right? With questions. Oh, tell me about this person. Are you comfortable sharing more about how you're feeling right now? But it can also be implicit, right? Just not interrupting the other person, actually being patient and listening to what they're saying without sharing advice or stories or worse, grief experiences of your own. And this combo of explicit and implicit listening shows that we are here in this with the other person. And that's so important. Dr. Brené Brown, she's one of the leading researchers on empathy. She describes the difference between empathy and sympathy as follows. She says sympathy is when someone's fallen down into a pit, it's standing above them looking down saying, "Ooh, sucks, man. Do you want a sandwich?" But empathy is a little bit different. Empathy is dropping a rope ladder down the pit, bringing a torch of your own and going down standing there with them. Now we can't actually share their grief, right? There's no way we can possibly know exactly what they're going through, exactly how they're feeling. But this act of listening gets us close. Gets us as close as possible. Hearing them out, hearing their perspective lets us kind of mentally put ourselves in their shoes as much as we can. And that's why I'm listening means so much. It's why Dr. Brené Brown says that empathy comes from connection, but sympathy leads to disconnection. And number 3, I'm here for you. This is phrases like, I'm here no matter what you need. I'll always be here to listen. I want to help in whatever way I can. And the research says a lot about it. There was a landmark study in 1986 which found that perceived support availability was actually more important than received support in these times of grief. And what that means is wild. It means that knowing that there are people who could support us, knowing that there are people who are there, means more to us than those actual moments of received support. And that's why a simple statement of I'm here for you can make such a huge difference. But it comes with a couple caveats, a couple no-nos that would completely ruin it. First, maybe don't ask the other person to tell you how you can help them, right? When they're in this place of grief, when they're already going through so much, it is not their job, their burden or obligation to tell you exactly what help they need, exactly what you can be doing in this situation. And number 2, which is so critical it needs to be said, do not offer support that you are not willing to follow through on. Only say that you are here for them if you genuinely are. Because yes, the research says perceived support availability matters more than received support, but imagine the feeling of going through something so difficult already and then not being able to lean on someone who explicitly said you could count on them. That's just not what friends do. And at the end of the day, someone who's grieving just needs us to be there, to show up, be present, and listen. Which sounds simple, but there's these common listening mistakes that we all make, which are even more sensitive in a time like this when someone needs us. So I've broken down the 3 most common mistakes in this video. Make sure we can avoid them so that we can show up as the best support system we can be during this time. We'll talk soon.